I know Cardinal fans go, to Kentucky Sports Radio, and whatever you have, before we get into this topic, whatever you have bad to say about Matt Jones, he is really, the figure of anybody that starts a sports blog and wants to get big. I will give the man his props because it is the most trafficked, college blog in the nation. He's been able to do some amazing things. I think, he's a very, intelligent guy. A lot of good things about him, but he also has a lot of flaws. He says he says he was let go of.
He was fired.
Yeah, he was fired. And he I don't know if you read his post last night on how it all happened, but what it screamed to me is he kind of led into the fact that he's not that guy, but he never wanted to say, hey, I'm not a basketball junkie. I worked for the college sports blog at CBS. You have got to be a basketball junkie. You have got to like the fact that you're going to stay up, that your job is to stay up to 12 o'clock on ESPNU and watch UTEP play, another team in Conference USA, or watch the teams in the Mountain West. Watch a Utah State that's a very, very good team. That's interesting basketball.
He's not a sports junkie. He always disses on baseball. He's really not a sports guy. He's a Kentucky guy. That's all he is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a Kentucky fan, and I could care less about it.
The whole Matt Jones thing, like you guys said a minute ago, what he has, it's hard to not, basically, I guess, salute what he's turned Kentucky Sports Radio into.
Certainly.
And to be completely honest with you, I used to look at Kentucky Sports Radio, not daily, but just, I was aware of what it was. I looked at it. But honestly, when I got, and I mean this, it probably doesn't you probably do not believe me, but since I've been doing what I've been doing and kind of, I guess, putting a lot of energy and time in this, I learned that the best thing for me to do is to not, I really don't look at it that much. I don't listen to him on the radio. I don't go to his site, but maybe about once every 10 days or so. And I think he does. That's a thing. You guys kind of hit it on the head. I don't think he's just a Kentucky guy. I don't think he really is a guy that's into a whole lot of sports. It's actually comical sometimes when he talks football. I'm not saying that he doesn't know anything, but you can just tell how disinterested he is, and that's just how the state of Kentucky is with sports. But no, I mean what he's turned his whole, with the radio show, the TV gig he's got at Insight. I mean, it's respectable. Obviously, what he's been able to turn that into, because it's just something that him and a couple of his buddies kind of just put together, and where it's at now, it's amazing how much. I mean, people don't realize that. I mean, there's CBS bloggers like Matt Jones, and obviously he's not employed there anymore. But there's guys who go on radio shows across the country weekly to talk college basketball and to talk sports with everybody. And Kentucky Sports Radio, I would guarantee you that they kill them as far as traffic and the amount of hits they get, because I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that you have the craziest fan base in the country that lives and breathes anything that those guys say, and that's just
And real quick, sorry to cut you off, but let's be realistic. I've lived in Kentucky my whole life. My whole roots are in Kentucky. But, you have to bring up the point that there's not a whole lot to do in this state. That's another reason that it's one of the highly trafficked, that it's going to be always at the top. We have a lot of rural area. Let's just call a spade a spade. These people, that is their livelihood. That's who they connect with. There's a reason that, that we can do what we're doing, and Kentucky readers will read our stuff, because anything that has a picture of a Kentucky player and says something good about it, people in the state of Kentucky are going to like, no matter who's saying it or what they're saying.
And especially if Matt Jones, or whether it be Matt Jones or whatever guys he's got that write for him, the when they rag on Louisville and post about Louisville, I've done it myself to rag on Kentucky, and I enjoy it too. So it may sound like I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but it's just to get the reaction that they get. And if my advice to Louisville fans would be is just don't listen to him, don't pay attention to him. As hard as it is, he's got so many outlets. You can't turn the channel in Louisville without seeing his face on TV, and you hear him on the radio. I mean, his sites always talk about, but the reason why he talks the way he does about Louisville, obviously the guy hates Louisville. He's got a passionate hate for Louisville, and that's noticeable. But the off the wall stuff he says, he does it so you will go to InsideTheVille.com and CardinalSports.com, so you'll get on the message boards and you'll say, "Hey, did you hear what that idiot Matt Jones said?" That's why he does it. He is just as relevant to us as he is to his fan base, and that's something that I got to give kudos to him.
Definitely true. Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got to give kudos to him because he's done that, and he's under your skin, and that's what he wanted. And one thing though people don't realize is, and I'll be the first one, and this is not like an inside scoop or an inside story. If you ever were to meet Matt Jones and you're a Louisville fan and you're by yourself, depending, maybe people had different experiences, he won't be an asshole to you on the spot, if I can say that. I hope I didn't cross any lines by cussing there, but he really does care what people think about him, and that's what's kind of funny because he makes himself so easy to hate. So easy to hate. If you're a Louisville fan and you just totally disagree with everything about him, he makes himself very easy to hate, but he's very sensitive. And people don't realize when Kentucky fans, because there is a select few Kentucky fans that don't care for him, and I think it kind of gets to him whenever he finds out about that. That's just one thing that people think he does do it to get under your skin, but to a certain extent, I think somewhat it kind of bothers him because he lives in the city of Louisville. When I understand, I don't know that. I know he's in Louisville.
They said that he lives right next to the back door over on Bardstown Road.
Yeah, he lives right smack middle.
Oh, yes, and I actually called him out on his show, and he can pull this up on his archives. It was one of the first times that I started listening to the show. Didn't really know what was going on, but he just had caller after caller. And to give you a little background, both of my parents, work in the city of Jefferson County. They work for the state. They were saying, I live in Louisville, but I love Kentucky. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. Hey, get your facts straight. Don't call out the city of Louisville. The city of Louisville provides for the rest of Kentucky. Matt Jones wouldn't have a job. He wouldn't be employed if you didn't get the tax revenue that you get from Jefferson County. So, Kentucky fans that live in Louisville, they can hate Louisville, do that, but don't call out the city that you decide to call home, just because you don't like the school.
Jones, I do have to say this because I've always wanted to say this. I don't know what kind of outlet I'm going through here, but I've always wanted to talk about this. If I was ever asked about him, I wanted to say this because there's a lot of times where anytime he gets shunned away, he acts surprised whenever the 790 radio station, which is Cardinal syndicated, doesn't want him on, and when he doesn't get credentialed to go to certain events that he thinks he should that have nothing to do with Kentucky. He gets really upset. He blames it all on Tom Jurich, and I cannot speak for Tom Jurich, but I've spoken to somebody who deals with Tom Jurich on a daily basis, and we've talked about this before. Tom Jurich is not worried about Matt Jones. And as much as he makes himself want to sound relevant and make it sound like Matt, when he calls him Tommy Turtleneck or something, he tells him that he basically portrays it as if, that he's just out to keep him from doing his job and to keep his mouth shut because he is a pro-UK guy. But I understand he's not worried about him. And the whole radio station situation that's shut down, from what I understand, that was completely blown out of proportion by Matt Jones. So that's my biggest beef with the guy. Like I said, I got a lot of respect for what he's turned his site into. A very intelligent guy he's obviously very business savvy as well. But I hate the beef that he puts, that he acts like he's so relevant and so important to the Louisville's administration, because that's far from the truth.
Oh, yeah, completely agreed. But I think, and obviously, you look at the back aspects of it with the business savvy. I look at this and, I just see this as a big, big mistake. Like, why call out the fact that you don't want to cover these games? Like, if your end goal is to make Kentucky Sports Radio and the Kentucky experience is big enough for the fans, why are you shunning the connections that CBS can give you? You just can't get those connections. Like, not every guy, like he talked about, today on the show, and I do listen to his show quite a bit because I'm in the car a lot.
You're a frequent caller.
Yeah, because
that's awesome.
He pisses me off a lot, and I need to be said, and the last two times it's been bad experiences, but, why would you shun what, like, it just boggles my mind, or do you really think Kentucky Sports Radio is that big that you want to get rid of the fact that you can talk to Tom Izzo one-on-one? Like, who are you? He's not even an athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just
He played golf in high school.
Yeah, like what? Who do you
I
think
guarantee
you are?
I could beat him.
You started a site that was funny. You know absolutely nothing what it goes into to be a college coach. Really, I don't think he does. I don't think he knows anything. I don't think he knows anything about what it takes to be a college coach. I don't think he knows the hours, the pressure, and I don't think he understands what the kids, what they go through and how the system actually works. I see he's sees it as something, he has developed something big, and his ego is just taking over. And for him,
well, the CBS thing, it's a I couldn't imagine having that opportunity, and it's just he's obviously a pro UK guy, and I think a lot of the reason, and he's even said this before from what I understand, is that they know that if the followers of Kentucky Sports Radio know that Matt's going to have a blog with CBS, that's going to bring a lot of traffic to CBS as well. Not that they necessarily need it, but you would be surprised how much that could help them. But I think he's grown to, obviously, like I said, he's pro UK, but I think he sometimes what gets in his way, I think he hates Louisville more than he loves Kentucky, and that's my only beef with his whole thing, because I really just think that affects how good he could be at what he does. Not saying that he's not. I mean, obviously, who am I to say that? Because he's obviously been more successful at reaching the mainstream. But I mean, I just think sometimes that gets in his way. He goes too much out of the way to talk about Louisville, and I know he's, like I said earlier, there's a reason why he does that. But and I hear him on the radio. I've heard him talk about. I listened to his radio show when the guy who left the show. I can't think of what his name was. Zach.
Zach McWright. I liked him.
Yeah, McWright. Zach's a good guy. But
I like him.
I've heard him say one thing that just really irks me. And like I said, I got UK friends who don't like when he says this, but he says people ask him, why are you talking about Louisville? He says, well, when you get around a bunch of Kentucky fans, what are they going to be talking about? They're going to be talking about Louisville. That's not true. I mean, that's the Kentucky fans I know don't do that. I mean, obviously they're going to make fun of Louisville and rag on them, but if I got three of my buddies that are talking about sports and they're UK fans, I don't think they're going to be talking about Louisville constantly. That just shows your obsession. That proves the fact that you are too obsessed with it. So I mean, I just think that makes him. That's just my critique of him. Like I said, he does good stuff, but I mean, I definitely think that there's motives around behind a lot of the stuff that he does, and there's a reason why things didn't work out at CBS, because he's just a Kentucky junkie.
Yeah, and one thing I want to quickly bring up, we're going to have to end it real quick here. We really appreciate you being on. So you got to look at. I think he thought that his weight was too high, like you said, and I heard that today on the show, or if it was yesterday, is, he felt that when he posted an article, CBS just spiked out the roof because Kentucky fans, and that's another side of the point. I hate to get off topic, it's what I was saying. There's not a lot to do, but a lot of people say that, Kentucky people are ignorant, but we sure can navigate through the internet. That is one thing we don't have a problem doing. But what is more important, the spike in traffic or what CBS is able to give you in game? Like what if Matt Jones was able to run with this? He tucked up his lip a little bit. He checked his ego at the door, and he got a relationship with every single major college coach in the country. How effective would his site be? How effective would his site be if he was, if he built a relationship with a Tom Izzo, a Bill Self, and they really liked him, because that's what good reporters do. You have relationships, they like you, they know you're not going to report anything that's going to be really, really detrimental to them or, backwards. And he could text up Bill Self and say, hey, Bill, what's going on? What's the word? What do you know about college basketball? How effective would your site be, really? Honestly,
you can't get better information than going directly to the coach.
Exactly. So why would you shun that opportunity? It just blows my mind.
To wrap things up here, Nick, we really appreciate you coming on. Seriously, Nick Coffey with the CardinalConnect.com. We definitely have to have you come back on. You'd like to plug that because there's so many people listening. I got to give you a plug.
Hey, and real quick though, it's we say what we say, but we just had this conversation about Matt Jones, but Kentucky's got to be the only state where, 20-somethings are sitting here and it looks professional. We're really trying to get news. This isn't happening anywhere else, I don't think. I really don't. I don't think this is happening in other states.
I'm only doing it for the money.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I really do appreciate you guys having me. We'll definitely have to do it again sometime. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, seriously, stay in touch for sure. And, guys, we look forward to the show next week. Thanks a lot, Hank, Tyler, Matt, everybody. It's been a great show. And definitely, Nick, have a good night, Nick. We'll talk with you soon. Thanks a lot.
Everybody go to
You guys take care.
CardinalConnect.com and KentuckySports.co.